What is up, people? It is now over a year since the impeachment, the second impeachment of Trump, and since many of these people are going to get primary challengers and some of them have actually even decided to retire, I thought it was time to make a video where we talk about the fate of the impeachment 10, as they are called. Now, although these are the Republicans who voted to impeach Trump, of course, a very unpopular decision among many of their constituents, but again, depending on what sort of district that they represented. So I'm actually going to start. Let's start with Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney, she represents the whole state of Wyoming, so clearly not the right move when you think about it that way. One of the most Trumpian state, the most Trumpian state. I actually think he got a bigger portion there than in West Virginia. And yeah, I don't think she's going to survive. I haven't looked too much into her primary challenges. But the fact that she, well, not only voted to impeach, but also is on the January 6th commission and voted to censor and remove Paul Gosar and stuff. I mean, this is not just something that she can say she's doing for her conscience, right? This is pure bullshit. Anyway, next on we have Anthony Gonzalez, who is retiring, so I don't know if it's much to say about him. We don't even know what sort of district he would be running in if he did not retire. Next one is Jamie Herrera Butler. She faces a quite significant primary challenger in Joe Kent. So the polling here, because Washington has a very strange system, Joe Kent seemed to be doing fine in polls. Of course, he is endorsed by Trump and Michael Flynn, which is a quite significant duo. And then, of course, Butler is endorsed by... She's actually endorsed by Kevin McCarthy and Steve Scalise and Elise Stefanik. So she has the establishment backing. And former New Jersey Governor Christine Todd Whitman, of all people, who is also a Republican. But we could really see Kent advance either against the Democrat or against Butler, and we would see a very different race. I think if he advanced against Butler, she would win because of the Democratic votes. But again, there are no one else than Trafalgar who has done polls. We'll just wait and see. But Joe Kent surely has a good chance, and I mean, I don't know too much about him. Red Eagle likes him. That's probably a good sign. Next on we have John Katko of New York. Obviously he is retiring, and I mean his district, which was already leaning blue, was gerrymandered to shit in the last redistricting in New York. I mean, how the hell could he run in a D+13 district? Previously, okay, D+4, big difference, very big difference. And I know it's in litigation, but again, he is out. The next one here, that's a real beauty, Adam Kinzinger, of course. Also, one of the biggest turncoats, voted not only to impeach Trump, but is on the January 6th commission and voted to censor Gosar, which is, in my view, quite inexcusable because it was a stupid cartoon and nothing serious. Yeah, I mean, he could have only voted to impeach Trump and I wouldn't have that much of a beef, but he is retiring. Not that it would be possible for him to run for re-election in I hate this map, in either the 16th or the 14th district. He'd be going up against Darren LaHood, who is also not a very good Republican, or he may be running against Lauren Underwood. He might actually have had a chance here because of his, I guess, appeal among independents, but again, lack of appeal among conservatives would haunt him. Peter Meyer, his district, again, gerrymandered. Well, okay, not gerrymandered, but it was made a lot more democratic. D+3 from, yeah, R+9, so a big difference. Now, of course, he is more popular in the independent suburbs of Grand Rapids, where Trump is not doing too well. But this big of a shift is just going to destroy him. And without the support from the Trumpian wing of the party, I think actually he would go down in 2022. But we will wait and see. Dan Newhouse. He is also from Washington and a moderate, and he has very many primary challengers. And one I think we should talk about is Lauren Culp, endorsed by Trump, and that endorsement has gotten her past Newhouse in the polls. Let's see. This one in the general election, 7 points ahead, and then in the polling here in the primary with other candidates and Democrats included, up 14 points against Newhouse. So this one I think would go to Culp even if Culp advanced against Newhouse and not a Democrat. So I think Newhouse is pretty much finished, and he's done. Next one is Tom Rice out of South Carolina. Now this one is a strange one because he was one of those very conservative representatives who voted against certifying the election and was called out by Democrats for that. He also has a quite conservative record, but again he later has said things that contradict his original voting history. And to be honest, he has multiple primary challengers, and Trump endorsed one of them. I don't know that that person has gotten too much traction, really. The last two are Fred Upton and David Valadao. David Valadao is definitely the one who should not be touched, because, I mean, his district is very democratic. Even before redistricting, it was like he had D+9, D+10 now, and he is pretty much the only Republican who is able to win in such a district. There could be another, but that would take years of building name recognition as a moderate in this area. And I know Mike Garcia is doing it again in like the 27th, but we cannot take that into consideration. He just barely won, extremely narrowly in 2020, and it is a risky game he is playing. I think he will win in 22, but it might be harder after that again. So the last one is Fred Upton in Michigan, and he is of course running against Bill Huizenga, who is not a rhino or a never Trumper or a impeachment vote in any way. And I actually don't know if Fred Upton has announced plans yet. I don't think he has, but Huizenga has announced he will run in that district against Upton. So I think we could very likely see a retirement, because he has been there forever. Let's see how long he has been around. He has been around since 1987. He is one of the longest Republicans in the House, after like Chris Smith and that guy from Kentucky, Hal Rogers. Yeah, and of course he is the dean of the Michigan congressional delegation. I think that he is going to retire, and if not, be defeated in the primary by his more Trumpian colleague in the House, Bill Huizenga. But that is it. I think it's going to be a very different delegation from the impeachment 10 in the next Congress. Valadao will probably still be there, and maybe 2 or 3 others. But other than that, it is going to be a purge. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.